Hello and welcome to the Pixel Pintura workout where I color what you color, and today we're going to be coloring something from Miss Renz Reyes. Her rendition of Renoa from Final Fantasy VII. And in this picture, Renoa's dress is kind of yellow, so I'm going to dip it down by using hue and saturation, a adjustment layer. I've masked it so that I can bring back some of the yellow that I would take out from the adjustment layer. So I'm adding some masks and cuts. Bring back some of the light in certain places with my airbrush on the layer mask. I'm flipping it just to test if the image works both ways. Alright, I'm going to try to bring in some of this yellow from the dress. I have to work on a layer above my adjustment layer, so I'll put some yellow reflecting into the skin, some shadow, and add a bit more depth to that leg. Next, I'm going to put a shadow underneath her chin. In fact, I'm going to put shadows underneath, well, I'm going to put shadows on surfaces that are against the light. The light is coming from above, and probably some light coming from the bottom as well, but not as much. So this will cool down the yellow dress, this will cool down her skin, this will cool down a lot of things. But also there are parts where you have to heat up, and that's where we put some of that light on top of her head. The rim light for her hair. It's catching both sunlight and skylight. Skylight is blue, so I'm going to add some of that blue there. Also going to add some yellow later on. I'm going to trim her bust size too later on. That's kind of big. I get rid of that weird blue thing. Okay. So I'm going to add some lights on top, and I'm going to continue working this arm here. I'm not going to fuss too much about the hand. It's going to take too much time. Hands take a lot of time. So in the meantime, I'll just clear up the arm. The silhouette of this person has to look good from far away. So I have to clear up some of those jagged edges. That looks like an elbow. I'll just fix that some other time. So I put some lights underneath her breast so that it lights up from beneath as well. I also have to trim down the size of those cups. That can get very distracting. Put some of those lights back on a layer on top of this adjustment layer to make a new layer that has everything that was visible. You can press Control, Shift, Alt, and E. That will make a new layer like I have here in layer 2. I'm going to bust it up, add a few holes into the hair to give it a bit more, depth, I guess. You can call that depth. Or silhouette, enhance the silhouette, give the hair some movement from the wind that should otherwise be there. This video is actually 25 or 22 minutes long. I've sped it up twice as fast just to accommodate the size, the 10-minute length for YouTube. Alright, so I'm working on a new layer, and I'm bringing some shadows in and merging them down as I go. I'm trying to bring back some shadow by putting another adjustment layer. This time one that's for levels. I'm masking areas that I want to brighten up because that adjustment layer darkens everything down. I mask it to bring back areas of light. This will give Renoa a bit more depth. And although that's probably a Western way of doing it, a Western way of painting things, you want to, do something that's more like Chinese Oriental and keep everything light. Really up to you, but I'm going to try to tone down some of these very loud colors, especially on her lips. Those are hot lips. So I cooled them down with a desaturated light, and I put the shadow that's also desaturated, meaning less color. You don't need too much color to make that stand out. So just enough shadow to pop out the lower lip. Blend it a bit with the skin color. See if it works. Opposite end, yeah, okay. I'm going to trim this hair a bit more. In perspective, that hair should be a bit more farther away. So I'm going to cut back. So let's add a new layer and experiment with some of these strands that are flying away. Give the impression that the whole picture has wind. Yeah. Look at the clouds. They're swirling above her. I guess there should be some sort of wind. We'll try to put some effects, let's say maybe feathers, because Renault is all about feathers, wings and stuff. I'll fix her eye, see if I can fix it into perspective. It's not a big deal. It actually worked even before, but I thought it would look better if I fixed it a bit. Let's compare. Renz did the one on the right. I'm working on hers on the one on the left. I'm going to put a lens flare for the sun. It's a black layer with a screen on it. And I'm just choosing the kind of lens flare and setting the mode. There it is. Okay, I might want to move that later on. Okay, so I put some more shadow. I've hidden the lens flare for now while I continue to paint on the face. Face is going to get a lot of detail, of course, because that's where you want people to focus. You don't want to focus people's attention on the sky or on the sun and on her chest. You want people to focus on her face. Let's add a bit more three-dimensionality. Let's add a bit of yellow because the clothes, the dress she's wearing, they're all very yellow. And that yellow is going to bounce off into the skin. Do a bit more modeling here in the with a smudge tool, with a brush tool, a hairy smudge tool, hairy brush tool. It's going to take a bit of time, add a bit of blue from the sky. Okay, let's see. Alright, so let's put some more shadows within the legs. Yeah, it's like a secondary cleavage, if you think about it. I'm going to advance one of her legs further so it doesn't look too boring. A bit more variety. Okay, she's walking. I'm gonna try to add some shadows to those clouds. I thought it would be nice. Doesn't look right now like it's gonna work. Maybe I'll try another technique. Layer mask it away. Possibly change the color with hue and saturation. Lower it, merge it down if I like it. Okay. Now let's try to bring back some of the softness in the image by adjusting the layers, the levels. And I'll try to soften up these clouds a bit more with the smudge tool. We want to give it a ethereal quality, like it was like shot in heaven or something. Okay. I don't know if she's looking into a pool or if it's really us looking up at her. But in any case, this effect that I'm putting here, a screen layer with some airbrushing, gives it a very dreamy appearance. I'm going to bring back some of the dark spots on her face because from far away I notice I can barely see or read her face or her mouth. So I'm trying to bring in those feathers now. You know, I just make a few, smudge a few. Don't get too crazy about it. I don't have much time after all. So I'm going to duplicate layers, transform them, flip them around, to give you all the impression I did much more work than I actually did. Okay, so those feathers are behind the effect. I made a new layer where everything's there, and I blurred it, and I masked the areas that I want to keep in detail. Alright? So I've got a new layer, layer 7, where the blur effect is active. I'm going to put a few more feathers on top of that. Small little flecks, maybe pollen, maybe more feathers. Okay, let's bring back some of these signatures, dedications. Okay, so let's put in a few more to give a bit more movement towards the sky. If you think about it, those clouds are just like giant feathers, right? So what we're gonna do with those the clouds, I'm gonna try to make them a bit more like feathers, just to continue the motif of feathers. So I'm gonna smudge the clouds towards the sun to make them appear like they were more feathery. Nothing super fancy, but it gives the impression that they are feathers. So I merge that all and see if I can add a bit more shadow by putting layer mask. Bring back the shadow into areas that I feel would be against the light in a magical sort of way. Right. So bringing back the adjustment on the lens flare so that it doesn't fall on important things on her body. Not to be too distracting, let's add a few effects. Some glows. Yeah, very nice. Some glows on her edge where the light catches some of the feathers, and on her hip. Yeah, a bit of a yellow. Cool it down. There, very nice. Nice magical effect. Okay, so let's compare it. Here you go. A little more cooler than Renz's version, but still pretty good. So if you want to take a Pixel Pintura workshop, you can actually come to my place. You can visit pixelpintura.com first, and we can learn more about digital coloring and painting. And if you'd like, you could also have your artwork for a workout. Just visit this URL. That's tinyurl.com/pixelpinturafb, our Facebook account. Do check it out. Post your artwork there. Thanks very much. See you next time.